Hello, welcome back, part 2. This is the Kingstone Bible READview, part 2 here. If you saw my previous video, you are caught up to date. This is part 2. A huge volume, over 630 pages of comic art, plus supplemental materials like timelines and different things. Again, we have some good artists in here, some good returning talent. Like I said, Volume 2 is what I was most actually excited to see and to catch up with. Let's jump into it. I'm saying 634 pages, but then you have other material. Got a good table of contents if you're looking for something specifically, and then you got like a timeline. And we start off here. I think the last book ended when David had just become king and he was cemented his rule. He had just defeated Absalom. Well, not the end of his life. Another one of his sons is going to turn out to be a problem. That's Adonijah. So here's Bathsheba, older Bathsheba, and David's on his deathbed. He's cold. That keeps him warm, and so they find some chick to go keep him warm. But Adonijah, meantime, is rising up, looking all Alexander the Great there, and he's so remember the comic book art classification. This is a little bit better. This is a little bit better than Sunday school artwork. This is like Prince Valiant kind of stuff. I like this. Very bold colors. The guy that killed the lion in the pit on a snowy day, but he's still serving David years down the line. He's one of David's mighty men. Maybe going forth, David's rule is over. I think this is an art switch up. Yeah, this looks a little more Sunday school artworkish here. This is King Solomon. He's the one that took the throne after David died. Solomon is actually the one that wrote most of the Proverbs and stuff. So they took time to illustrate the Proverbs. This is what I'm talking about. The stuff you really don't see. You got these modern day looking people here. Asian guy in traditional Asian garb, a family down here, like being all family-ish and familying. Guys playing basketball. Should I walk down this alley with these weirdos here? No. These guys got their bottle of water. They're playing hoops in like uniforms, not street ball. All right. As it goes on, you got they're illustrating the Proverbs, which is just kind of cool. What do people care about Proverbs? They care about the Proverbs 31 woman. This is the Solomon also write the Song of Songs, or the Song of Solomon. And it's kind of like the romance book in the middle of the Bible. Solomon had all kinds of wives, but this one was special to him. He had a special love affair with this woman. But they kind of have a love affair, and she misses him, he misses her. They can't wait to rendezvous at the end of every day. And they kind of show this in a PG kind of a way, Come into my garden and enjoy its fruits. Ew. Okay. Anyways, they illustrate the Song of Solomon. That's kind of cool. They go through Chronicles. And, he builds the best, the biggest, the baddest temple in the whole world. He kind of had too many wives. He kind of let them bring their idolatry into the city, so it was judged, and that's when his kingdom started falling apart a little bit. He gets mobbed by this prophet, rips a garment off and says, "What are you doing? You're ripping my cloak." It's like, hey, well, take 10 of these pieces, because the top 10, the upper 10 tribes of Judah are going to leave, and you're going to be stuck, buddy. Okay, so anyway, Solomon writes Ecclesiastes here at the end of his life. He's kind of snarky, kind of sarcastic, what do you call it, cynical, but at the end he can only conclude my consolation, my final conclusion: love God and obey his commandments, for this is the entire duty of man. Art change. So we got this other guy here, First Kings. I'm looking through it, and he's got kind of this is kind of infographic kind of thing. He's going through all the different gods of the region, because these become major players. He does headshots. Look at this, the kings of Israel. And anyways, these become major players in the surrounding kingdoms they end up fighting with. So he's like infographic type stuff here. Ahab, boo, Boo. Jehu. Yay. Israel is different than Judah. Remember the 10 garments that he ripped off of his garment, his cape? Well, the upper 10 tribes go by the name of Israel. And the lower 2, Judah and Benjamin, become just the Judah. So throughout the book of Kings and Chronicles, you have like 2 stories going on. And a lot of times they intertwine, and the 2 kingdoms collide and even intermarry and have issues together and against each other and with each other. So this is pretty good RN. This is kind of like how I draw a little bit. A little exaggerated. Thick outlines. This is cool. I think there's even Kings. Let's see who this artist is. See who these artists are. Let's go digital here. Okay, so this is the credit page here. It looks like they credit, maybe it's an order of appearance. Fabio Nahon, Bob Almond, and Mark McNabb. Let's just guess and say these are the ones that did these initial like kind of impressionistic pages. So I will say that Cliff Richards, Jason Moore, and Ivan Tanio are the creators for this section. I do like the color palettes here. I'm a fan of that. That's good. Looks very Middle Eastern. You have certain shifts at night, during the day. The king's just getting raided. What is this guy doing? He's about to get stabbed in the butt. Oh, this is the Pharaoh's court. Yeah, Pharaoh Necho. This is Rehoboam. Rehoboam really screwed everything up. Man, forget Rehoboam. He jacked it up. Punk. Alright. Totally different artist. Look at this. Really hard-edged, inked area. Feathering's kind of harsh. Just not trying to wannabe Kyle Hotz kind of thing. But, it's effective. It's a good switch up. Who's this guy? Abijah. Abijah's the king. Asa's the king now. I read one time there's only 2 kings that were ever anointed king of Israel. First, or 3. 2 or 3. All right. King David, obviously, he was anointed king. And they say it was Jehu. King Jehu later on was anointed. The difference being he wasn't the king's daddy in taking the throne. That's what you get a lot in Israel. It's just the king's daddy or the king's son taking over for him and stuff. And it just doesn't turn out bad. When you're given something this important, you don't treat it like you should, I don't think. Yeah, Zimri burnt the castle down on himself. Stupid. And that's how Omri, I think, came into place. And Omri's the dad of Ahab. Another art switch up. I think this is the first ones. I think this is Fabio Nahon. Nahon. Look at the artwork. Yeah, it's very similar to the intro there. Oh, this is the prophets of Baal. This is Elijah. Prophets of Baal, they're trying to get their gods to send fire down. Elijah's doing the same thing. And he even tells them to pour water on the sacrifice. Just so you know, there's no fraud here. Interesting note on that is part of this pouring water on the sacrifices is because the Babylonians were known to fake this, like magic trick. They would have people underneath the sacrificial altar with flames that would light it from underneath, and that would create the effect. So this is what Elijah was doing, was saying, we're going to pour water on this sucker, and we're going to drown the people that are underneath it. We're going to, so you know that we're not a fraud, and we're not lighting it from underneath. Just something I heard. Anyways, it happens. God answers by fire. So there you go. Boom. I've been to this place. I've been to Mount Carmel. He has a very skinny line work method. Just as far as this doesn't become like Jason Duran Bible teaching hour. I do have to comment on some of the artwork here. So he does this thing with textures here in the background. So this is what I would have the tendency to do myself, is to like take the background, take a photo, maybe light box just the lines, separating the dark from the light stuff, and the colors can come in there and he can just fill it in the background. This kind of thing's done up here as well too, and it's very, very obvious. I think that's light boxed in. and the colorist is putting some kind of texture. He's got a texture behind there. So what you do with backgrounds sometimes, at least for me, until I get better at them, is you do something, you know, digitally that represents what you're drawing, like something that represents rocks, something that represents, you know, grass and stuff. And the pencil inker did the fire, and the colorist does a color hold on it. Airbrushes the lines to the color he wants. You can see the fade in the background, like a layer with that burst, that sunburst from white out to orange, and on top of that you select and make a whole layer with the actual flames are on, and you just, like, you hit this area with orange, went out to yellow, you know, has some white areas right here right on top of there. Couple that with your color hold layer and have a kind of little cool effect there. Some of these had the red and orange were sprayed down on top of the lines here. Maybe the hard red looked like it's underneath. So I would have continued that down here. See how there's flames down here, but there's no light coming off of them, right? So the challenge is doing fire in a night scene is easy. You just make this big burst and you can have glows and it's just dominating the scene. But here you also have the sun, which is color lighting stuff, I'll say, from the back, from the side, from the top, where she would be getting this highlight on their hands. That looks like a female hand. They would be getting this light source that's just not that strong, but so it communicates what it needs to communicate. So real life, it would be this just big bursting fire. There'd be black smoke. You can make it real dramatic as it covers the sun and stuff, but there's all kinds of things you could do differently with this page. But you know, when you color comics, I guess it's not always uber realistic. You also got to do contrast. Like you have everyone's wearing blue, so it could be less confusing if you just shifted it to mood only, like mood, cool in front, hot in back, and then the contrast is there. You can do all the sparkly glowies you want. So anyways, before we go, and then he goes immediately from having the victory to being totally depressed. So a lot of people use Elijah as kind of the Bible character that had like a cyclical depression problem. You know, he's doing this, and then like a couple verses later, he's all like, "Nobody loves me. I'm the only one left." Okay, King Jehu, the son of Nimshi, to be king of Israel. He's just some guy. He goes and he calls Elisha to follow him. Elisha is the bald guy, because remember those kids make fun of him. But anyway, great artwork, good stuff. I like this battlefield scene. Good horses. Not a bad lion. That's pretty good. And this is a prophecy. This is kind of graphic. He prophesies that Jezebel is going to get torn to shreds by some dogs. So she wasn't an Israelite. She was a foreign woman that he married, like maybe for peace treaty, but she brought her foreign gods and a spirit of witchcraft and manipulation with her. So artist's depiction of God blacked out. This is Random Archer. Yeah, Random Archer takes out Ahab. He bleeds to death in the chariot. The dogs lick up his blood. Then he has to go after Jezebel later on. So then Jehu comes riding. Elijah goes up in the chariot of fire. See, this color hold. You take the inks, you cut them out, you paste them, or you can just select them, I guess, on that layer. But I like to cut them out, paste them on a separate layer, hit the alpha lock, and then you spray paint your color right on the ink lines that the other guy did. That's how you get this kind of effect here. He's got some sparkles and some shines, but you know. So here's another art switch up. This looks more like a traditional Sunday school kind of art. Here, this is Elijah going around being Elijah. I call him the prophet of water. He's just using water. Water says illustrations. Water, water, water. Everywhere else. This is good, well illustrated. This shows up great in the book. You can see Esther. Later on, Esther doesn't show up that great in the book. Shows up really good on the digital format though, but because it's backlit and everything. But so some of these things I never thought of that. I've been only doing digital comics, but I guess some stuff you have to lighten up or change up the coloring scheme when you're coloring, because the way stuff prints up on paper is totally different. All right, so it's Naaman. Here's Naaman taking a bath. Stupid Gehazi. Okay, this guy, this artist. I'm wondering here. This is 2 Kings. Let's go to the digital version. So this artist in the Elisha chapter here is that Kevin Conrad, Casey, Richard Bonk. Am I reading that right? Inks by Bill Anderson, colors by Marlon Lugan, J. Ramos. I'm guessing here in the book of Elijah there's going to be a switch, or Elisha, there's going to be a switch in artwork, so we'll look for that. Okay, so we'll look for that art switch up. So I like his evil eyes, evil eyes, evil eyes. Everybody has evil eyes. It's good. I like how this is. I noticed this before when I flipped through it, the front and back view. I don't know if this is a comic thing that everybody does, but it's vaguely familiar to me. But all you Loomis artists would be like, yeah, check that out. The jaw and everything's below, and then the back of the neck is awesome. All right. Oh yeah, there's like 4 lepers. They're like, oh, hey, this military camp's just abandoned. Let's go eat some donuts. Okay. This is good. Right here, I like this. Something about this, like everything's all bright and happy. Then horsey. Even the horse has a helmet on. He's got a horse helmet. There's that face right there. Let me study comic book eyes. I have a problem with eyes. I have a way that I draw them, or I think they should be drawn, but there's a way to draw eyes that seems right into a man. But I don't know if it's really... He's got the reflection that stops right at the edge of the iris. See that? It looks good. I always take the reflection and I put it on the couple layers above the inks and do it across the whole area, so it looks like... But for some reason this looks better than that, because you can still see the line. I might adjust my technique. I'll try this the next time I'm coloring one of my books. The Dark Hunter, now available on Webtoons. This is Jehu. Yeah, Jehu's he decides to take up his anointed mantle as king. Ahab's dead. And I think someone else is ruling in his place, but he goes out here, and the king of Judah and the king of Israel both decide to go out to battle, and Jehu deals with both of them. Jehu's an archer, he's a hunter. He's a bad dude. He's alpha male king. Yeah, so there's these 2 kings, king of Judah, king of Israel. So there's a total shift in kingdoms here. Both kings are dead. Jehu becomes king of Israel. Judah's throne is now empty. He goes home to deal with Jezebel. Now, Jezebel, I don't think it was drawn like I would picture Jezebel, but they got to keep it PG-13 or PG for this kid. Like, that face is just not right. That panel is not that great, but we get the idea. She gets thrown down. These 2 eunuchs. Jehu goes, "Who's with me? Who's on my side?" Those 2 eunuchs grab her, toss her. He stomps on her with a horse, and then the dogs come and the birds or whatever. They do their thing. All they leave left is the hands. It's kind of gnarly. I think the Queen Mother takes over and kills all of them. But anyway, yeah, look at that. Good splash page. Don't see many splash pages, but here's a good one. Like the art switch up. Different guy. Seems to have like a more realistic, I don't know, realistic, because that kid's face is different. They take all the kids, yeah. The Queen Mother takes over and she starts killing all the kids, but one of the nursemaids hides one of them. This is such an awesome story too. I wish I could just tell it. I think it's Joash. He hides it from Queen Athaliah. I forget who this priest is. Yeah, what they did was they took this young king, he's like 8 years old. They're going to depose the Queen Mother, right? So they do that, but they have to hide him first, and they surround him by men, and all of them with their sword drawn, facing outward from the young king. And if anyone comes, I don't care who they are, within your sword's reach, you knock them down. So when he turned 16, he started making all these changes. He was the teen king. He was Justin Bieber with a crown. So he renewed. It was like a revival in the Old Testament. This little guy took over. Well, Zechariah was the son of Jehoiada. Got stoned, not like in the modern way, but like thrown off a cliff and have rocks dropped on his head. I want to see the bears mauling Elijah. I love those kids. It's Elisha. Yeah, I never saw the bear mauling. Who's this? Oh, the king gets leprosy. That's so nasty. Art switch up. This is a different book. This is a little more bread and butter. Bread and butter artwork. See, these are very simple. Okay, so we get the return of Jeff Slemons. You know, my man crush from the last one, from part 1. He comes back here and illustrates this ending segment. This is Josiah, another king that ascends to the throne at a young age. Excellent pen and ink work. The colorist just has to keep up. This is the rival of Josiah. Josiah is the son of like Asa or something. He's like the grandson or great grandson or something of Hezekiah, I believe. So. Jeff Slemons' artwork, excellent. I wish they'd give him more to do. But that kid kind of looks kind of creepy. He's supposed to be crying, but he's like evil looking. He's like Damien. Like I was saying, this is the kind of stuff you wish was illustrated or people spent more time on. Now, when you talk about the prophet Daniel and the time that he existed in the exile, everyone thinks about the lion's den, Babylon. And this is it right here, this whole section. On the digital version, it has it broken up into like 5 different books. Maybe that's how they do it too. It might be named different. But all the way through Daniel's vision. This entire volume right here is just excellent artwork. Looks like it's 4 different volumes here. Babylon 1, 2, 3, and 4. But the artist is Mario Ruiz. Colorist Rhonda Pattison. Now, as you'll see here, you see there the first page there is just like a digital painting. And so throughout this volume, they have these digital painting kind of sections, and I'm always wondering, it reminds me of kind of like those Conan books from the Dark Horse era, where they had a couple of good artists and just looked really painterly, just looked totally different. So you'll see throughout I don't know if it's just the colorist lady and she's just tearing it up. She's a digital painter, but the rest has some really good inking, really good facial drawings. Now, they're taking 4 or 5 chapters of the Bible and making them just interesting to read. It's a drama. And I was looking at this stuff. Good facial expressions. A lot of this straight ahead kind of shot here. A lot of these guys. And to me, it'd be hard to illustrate in the Bible. Everybody's got a beard. Everybody's got cloaks and robes and stuff. I'm sure you can play with that and make the characters discernible. See another good digital painting. I'm thinking it's digital, but it's excellent looking. Look at how the light's just shining right here and the rest is in shadow. I think that's awesome. Hard work. Good job, Rhonda Pattison. They have like these are Daniel, Azariah, Hananiah, and Mishael. They're the 3, the Daniel and the 3 boys. Who are just these young men. They look like Boba Fett. Everybody looks like Boba Fett to me, though. So you got like puffy-headed kid. You got Boba Fett. You got 2 little other Boba Fetts. I don't know, but that's what they look like. They're all the same, and then puffy-headed kid. So they don't want to eat the meat because it's they're Jewish. They can't eat that pig stuff. They challenge headband guy, silver headband guy, we'll call him. Silver headband guy is kind of in charge of all the prisoner kids, and so he's the one that they interact with. And all this stuff isn't really in the Bible. It's just how they've padded the narrative to make it, to give it a plot, to give it more, so they can put it in a graphic novel form. I think it's a mistake just to do just straight up across the board biblical things. If you're just going to teach kids the Bible and that's kind of your goal is to pass on that, then that's good. But if you're wanting to put it in graphic novel or movie format or someplace that's going to be in a novel, be interesting, to as entertainment as well, you're going to have to pad the narrative a little bit and put some stuff in there that's not in the original text. But this Babylon it's drama. There's not a lot of war in it. There's not a lot of action. So you get a lot of these panels that are just faces making expressions. Silver headband guy. Daniel grows up. He's got the cool haircut. I think he's the one that's part on the left and comb to the right, like Superman. If you notice, the Superman's part is on the left, comb to the right. Clark Kent's part is on the right, comb to the left. This is good artwork. It's just the same, face shot. So you have to really get down and read it, I guess, if you're going to get anything out of there. This is obviously Daniel's vision. I feel like she colored it and then just erased the inks. This is the statue he saw, the man with the mixed iron and clay, the iron, the bronze, the silver, the gold. Silver headband guy is gone. Now we're entering the era where they're older, and now the enemy is Doctor Strange guy. Silver bands on the side guy. He's mad about Jews advising the king, so he's all angry. He starts the conspiracy. Look at that face. This is Nebuchadnezzar. Look how they do this. They bury people shoulder deep, and then they loose the scorpions on them. Somehow this guy gets one in his mouth. That's nasty. The statue, he just loves himself. He's just awesome. He's got 12,000 followers on Instagram. You will bow down to my images. So here's Hananiah, Azariah, and Mishael, otherwise renamed as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they're going to be thrown in the fiery furnace. That whole trial, they take them. Those guys are already smoking just from lighting the thing. These guys that throw them in there get caught on fire. This is an actual thing. Where the radiated heat causes damage to people who are trying to flee. There's a good video of a fire that happens at a soccer stadium, I guess, underneath the bleachers. And the radiated heat is so intense, people are running away from them, and their hair is catching on a fire. It is horrific to watch. Like they showed us that stuff in the Fire Academy, all these videos of these how fires get out of control in public places and these great tragedies and stuff. That was pretty wild. So that happens. This is probably not fire retardant clothing they had on here. The miracle is a protection of the men that were supposed to be burned alive, but nothing happened to them. Even Nebuchadnezzar's like, this is hot. But he looks in there. There was another one in the fire. Yeah, I won't say. Here we go. Look at this painted image here. This is the Descent. I think they call this book Madman. Babylon Part 2 or whatever, Part 3, Madman. It's Daniel, I think it's chapter 4. I think it's Nebuchadnezzar. And this is a good story. If you read this is about mental illness. Totally. And the root of the problem is his love and obsession with himself. So he's super narcissist guy, unruly, crazy narcissist, right? He has these visions. He has people interpret these visions for him. He gets more and more nuts. He ends up going out into the field and grazing. His hair grows out all long. His nails are like talons of an eagle. He goes crazy, just obsession with himself. And his son's name is Evil Medorak. So he tries to get on the throne while his dad is kind of flipping out and going insane. I think those eyes are too close together, but that's just right. And he's running around like a madman. But it's really a testament on the cure for mental illness. And he was this far off, and he comes back from it, and he has to acknowledge that he's just some dude who got lucky in life, and God is really the controller of everything. And he starts proclaiming things about Daniel's God, but same artist. You see a lot of this same faces looking around. I kind of feel like there's a different process going on here with this. See the lines, the scratchy lines on the face, and then you turn the page and it's like, ooh. Maybe it's just the color scheme, but I feel like they're doing different things at different times, and it looks different there. But obviously there's more kings that come to the throne. This guy shuns Daniel, tosses him. His eyes are weird. That didn't turn out right. And then Daniel comes, he sees the writing on the wall here. You ever heard that term? It's from the Bible. So he comes out here and color holds, sparkles, whatever. Those guys are plotting that whole time, overrun the city. And the next thing you know, you have King Darius the Mede who is in charge. So he's drawn differently. He does not have the cool goatee mustache. He's King Neckbeard. And we have kind of the same plot again, where the guy who should be in command is like, or that Daniel, that Jewish guy. So anyways, they go on more things. He's going to set him up for the famous Daniel in the Lion's Den. It's still Mario Ruiz. There's that switch up. I'm going to go to the end and come back a couple. Yeah, all the way through the Lion's Den. It's the same artist. He just looks different. It's the same artist. I think that's what I'm thinking. Sometimes the process is different. Like these are super thick lines on top of here, and he's praying, and there's no real color hold or coloring on top of the inks here. And the whole book ends off with Daniel's vision. He has this long vision, and guess who comes back into the fight? Kyle Hotz. It's Daniel's vision here. Excellent, very good horror artist. That's why they have him doing all these prophecies. You'll see when we do part 3 that he's actually the main artist throughout the entire book of Revelation. I think he does the abomination. This is his angel. This is Angel Gabriel. This is pretty cool looking. It's got like armor. He's gonna punch this evil devil guy, the Prince of Persia, as he's known in the Bible. Like the demon in charge of Persia. That's kind of what that means. Basically, these great heavy blacks, crazy looking garments. Just the Kyle Hotz version of doing garments is very dramatic. It's part of just like this angelic thing. Instead of wings, he's got these garments that just express. They're very expressive. And the way he does garments is the way we probably need to study that. It's very stylized. It's his thing, but it has a, you know what it is. So this is the abomination. This is the Antichrist here. All right. You see his depiction of people's immorality is just like casinos and stripper clubs. Other books, a little more Sunday schoolish, kind of the artwork, I think. Ezra and Nehemiah are reestablishing the Promised Land during their captivity. Ezra is the spiritual revivalist that comes and reestablishes the altar of God and the sacrifices. And he's this awesome, like, stressed out, angry dude. When he has to be, he totally, like, he's a total type A. He comes back to build the walls. And while he's building the walls, the enemies of Jerusalem are always mocking him and threatening him and stuff. And these guys are just hanging out. As they're building, they got their bow and arrow ready to defend. And Ezra's checking out. Yeah, I like it, dude. He's angry. What I will say is that this guy's characters are all hand drawn, but I think some of his backgrounds are like light box or traced in there. It's just kind of the way they look, and the art is so much different. This panel here is very conspicuous there, like it's, I think this is like a traced background because the artwork for the guy himself is just different. This is what they look like today. I think there's like the dome and stuff in here. So I mean, you got to do what you got to do. Just as a note, like this looks like he drew it, but this looks like he traced it over here. The difference between those two, very scratchy, very imperfect lines, when the one on the right is very looks like he totally did the perspective tools. He finally, after the work is done, then he smiles at the very end. We have Esther. Now this stands out to me as kind of a Disney kind of style, big eyes. You know, that's kind of the most prominent thing. Very expressive. Maybe like a YA graphic novel or something. This is a fantasy. Esther gets picked to be queen. The colors to me is a standout in this book. Javier Saltaris. Inks Andrew Pepoy, and colorist is Ben Pennick. Prenavost. He does some cool things I like here, like rendering of the metal, especially on the king's crown, his little helmet crown. It's pretty cool design, good idea. Like here, very excellently built together. Her hair is the same way. All kinds of surfaces are very shiny and glitzy. You are dealing with a kingdom, so everyone, like the armor's got this little shine on the armor. Her hair is shiny. Everyone's hair is nice and shiny. It's like they're putting the crown on her head and the light's coming from behind the guy putting the crown on her head. Look at this dual light source thing I was talking about on this crown. It's capturing the light in the front, then it's capturing the side lighting too. And reflective surfaces like that, the light bunches up. It bunches up like if it was skin, it would be diffuse, or cloth, it would be diffuse, kind of like this, but the crowns and the metal is going to catch the light and not disperse it as much. It's going to be, you can use like a tighter selection or a tighter pen or any kind of a brush. So good up close. If you can do highlights good, you can do some good up close stuff in the eye. See, there it is, the highlight ending the border of the iris. I'm going to try that. But it's got this part on there too that I like to hit that up. He's got a Honda Civic. See the highlights taken to the next level. Huge pectoral muscles. Okay. The prophets, unlike this other stuff, you know, it's great to actually have down on paper and pen, having been put to pen and paper, I guess you could say. This guy in the beginning here. Oh, we do have some Jeff Slemons pencils here in the beginning. And Javier Saltaris again. I wonder if Jeff Slemons is doing all this psychedelic stuff. I think he might be doing it. Because if I do, it's done with a very, like this right here is a very heavy pen, like a pen brush. And then they just did a color hold. Or he might be doing all these colors himself, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's a very good artist, very good artist. A lot of good underneath, what? Not really worm's eye view, they call those Dutch angles? I don't know what those are. There's a big plane flying over. John the Baptist, Jesus healing, Jesus dying on the cross. So this ends up with Jesus himself reading from the book of Isaiah, Luke chapter 4. There's Jeremiah, he's like the, look at this color in here. It starts off kind of traditionally looking, you know, kind of like Sunday school artwork, but then you get the colorist brings out some cool stuff. Very good moody type of stuff here with this poured water. Jerusalem. This is good stuff I've just read through later on. But the artist is pretty, I think he's the same guy from the Esther book. Saltaris. And the colorist is just different, but he does some good stuff. I mean, this is totally readable. The panels are good, well arranged. Got this cool, I like that shot there. So Jeremiah prophesied before, and he's like, you know, don't ruin it, you idiots. And then they ruined it, and they get carried away to Syria or whatever. And then the second half of Jeremiah is all, you guys messed it up. And yeah, so he wrote the book of Lamentations, which is, you know, the name suggests, you know, people say that Ezekiel is the biggest UFO book in the Bible. Like if you read it from like a UFO fanatic kind of point of view, you're like, yeah, it does kind of sound like UFOs. But it's all this horror prophecy stuff, man. These demons and eyeballs everywhere, and six-winged weirdos with 3 heads and stuff. That's perfect stuff. Perfect for Kyle Hotz. Because everything's just, this throne room is crazy. I don't know who did the coloring, but it's always this super duper rainbow looking stuff all the time. I like it. We're back to Jeff Slemons here. This looks like his quality. Hosea. These are prophets you really don't read about, care about, know about, you know. Hosea was told by God to marry like a prostitute. Like he said, go and find this woman. Her name's Gomer. Not only is she a prostitute, but her name is Gomer. And he says, your life is like a prophecy of me with Israel and the people of God. I'm going to go back continually, even though she's unfaithful. I'm going to go back and rescue her and stuff. So he does. He finds her on that slave market, purchases her back, and he cries out. He said a way to talk about God's love for us. So we ain't faithful, even though he is. Art switch. Different guy. This is Joel. Yeah, Joel has a lot of swarming locusts and swarming this and that, blah, blah, blah. Which people think is just armies fighting. Doomsday. Worshipping calves again. Didn't learn that lesson back there with Moses. Obadiah. And people here can't wait to hear about Obadiah when they go to church, right? Yeah. Micah. This is Jonah. We know about Jonah, right? Got swallowed by a whale. There you go, an old Pinocchio story. That's where Pinocchio got his ideas from. There he is. Toss him into the sea. Chomp. Now, the chick track version of Jonah was more cool because when he got spit up on land, his hair was all digested and his skin was all pale. His garments were all frayed. Like he actually was festering in digestive juices for 3 days. The book of Jonah doesn't conclude with the whale. It doesn't conclude with the city turning to God. It concludes with Jonah complaining that it worked. It's kind of a strange story. It's not really a fish story. But he was mad that God actually saved everybody. He was hoping there would be great balls of fire falling from the sky. He was more worried about his own comfort and stuff. And they skip forward to Matthew, which is weird. Oh yeah, because Jesus said the men of Nineveh will stand in judgment on this world. They repented at an 8-word sermon. The prophet Micah. This is good illustration. I've only seen a couple of pages and I already like it. For all the moody, the expression in them, the judicious use of background. Look at this. Wow. Book of Micah. Yeah, you don't even think it. Okay. Take a poll. Look at this. They do the blur effect in the background up here. That's sweet. I just punched. That looks so cool. That's why I like doing blurred backgrounds in my personal projects here. The Dark Hunter, now available on Indiegogo. No. Webtoons, not Indiegogo. I wish. No, that was not light boxed. That was just drawn. Pretty good. Yeah, not bad perspective. I don't know about this part. It kind of loses me a little there in the middle, but maybe it's like a fisheye thing. Huh? This is good illustration, man. This is super duper good inking and penciling. This is Nahum. Did you know the word Capernaum is basically the city of Nahum, named after him? Didn't know that, did you? Copper Nahum. Capernaum. I don't know. This is cool comic book art right here. Look at that. Old school comic book bad guy face. Love it. Who's this guy? Who's the blonde guy? Is that Habakkuk? Habakkuk? Yeah, I think it is. Habakkuk was a blondie. This is kind of cool, like this is art switch up again. It's kind of like Disney kind of artwork. This is Zephaniah. And never in my life did I say I want to read the book of Zephaniah, but here it is in comic form. It's pretty decent inking here. Dropping some blacks. I like that guy. Look at that. This is stuff you read from across the room. Yeah, this is good. Good. This is Zechariah. This is Zechariah. Haggai. Who's that guy? looks like Loki. No, they're not going to do Haggai. Malachi. Okay, this is the only problem I think with this volume is this part right here. Intertestamental period is 400 years. And I think they represent it in like 9 pages. 643, 636, yeah, less than 10 pages. The intertestamental period, but it's Alexander the Great. They talk about kind of in brief. And that would be my only complaint. That's the part that we don't know about. So, hey, put some drama to that. The book of Maccabees is considered valid Jewish history if it's not, Bible canon. But hey, who would complain? Good stuff. Can't wait to edit this video. It's going to be great. Thank you for watching. That was the Kingstone Bible. I guess in conclusion, like I would say, it's great to see these obscure Old Testament stories put to a graphic novel format. If you did them in, especially the Babylon series, they're in the middle. If you ever did these like as a movie or TV show drama, you'd have to add drama to it to make it an interesting tale. Otherwise, you just kind of look at it as a Bible student and try to determine the history and get biblical insights from it, etc. But if you want other people to read it, who are into the drama, who are into the storytelling and different things, you're going to have to put some extra stuff in it. People might say this is adding to the Word of God or whatever, but it's a comic book. Yes, go here to have like a graphically depicted version of what you like, but yeah, it's not gonna. We're not trying to. I don't think they're trying to pass this off as read this instead of your Bible. This is to get your youngsters into it, and some of your 40-somethings old into it. So, anyways, thank you for watching this video. Yeah, hit like and subscribe if you like more content. Just go ahead and hit give me a comment in there. See what you'd like to see in the future. If not, never mind. We're just gonna do it anyway. So now it's quiet in my house. All right. Thank you very much. Don't forget to check out, let me see, The Dark Hunter. It is available now on the Webtoon website for free. I am approximately over halfway done with it. I think I've knocked out a couple of good 8-page episodes here, and I'll be done with chapter 2. And chapter 3 is going to go by so fast. Okay, man, what happened? What happened? And you'd be sad that it's over. So you might as well read it now and jump on the bandwagon, because it's not going to be traveling for very much longer. So thank you very much. I will talk to you later. Jason out.